so let's get cracking and get this figured out. So we'll use a Sharpie, and I'm gonna capture this on the Instagram feed. Yeah, you can really see the chips in the lighting on here. There you go. Okay. All right, so Sharpie the edge. Oh, you can hear that. Okay, so we got that going. We'll take the 1000 grit. Looked this up, and Zwilling said that they thought it'd be a 17.5. So we'll see where it is, and then we'll measure it after we find out what it is. So some fun facts about this knife. Since I know the owner pretty well, we talked about like how this knife is used and what's done with it. And fun fact: this knife's primary purpose, and we had a debate about this, is for slicing proteins out of the air fryer. So it comes out of the air fryer. And is immediately cut with this knife, and it's cut using a push cut, or like a push, like straight down onto the thing. And we talked about like how that's probably not, or at least gave my opinion that probably isn't the right technique. I am not the chef though, so I don't know. Just to me, it seems like one, you could get by with a better tool, such as a chef's knife, which the owner has a pretty decent chef's knife. It's the mate to this, the Zwilling 8-inch. But yeah, so we checked the angle. It's 18.5 is where this came out. So about a degree off from what Zwilling said, and that is not unusual. For that to happen. That's, who knows how accurate my angle cube is, who knows I don't know the technique that Zwilling uses to measure the angle or to hold the angle while they sharpen it. A lot of knife manufacturers, they do a lot of stuff freehand. And so while they might have that the guide that the sharpener is using, that might not be the case. Either way, doesn't much matter. It's in the same universe, right? So where we'd be concerned is if Zwilling says it should be a 17.5 and it's a 24, or it's above a 20, then that might be a little bit off. This is, of course, Zwilling, a German knife, part of the Zwilling Henkel's company. I think Zwilling is the nicer of the two brands, I believe. Someone, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Put it this way: I've seen a lot more Zwillings. I've seen very few Henkels, and I've seen some Zwillings in some pretty high-end food establishments too. So take that for what it's worth. All right, well this is going really easy. If it was not for those chips, we would be done by now, because this would just need just a quick touch up. So this is really good. This German steel is a pleasure to work with. And we're just gonna go through and polish up and make sure all those chips get removed, which, they're They're really hard to see, and it makes it super awkward for you guys on the camera. If I keep trying to look for it, so call that good. On the back of that, I did catch that a bit, so we'll have to polish that a bit. There we go. Now 400. By the way, I measured this on the scale, using the best standard, and it came out at 539 grams. Took 539 grams of force to break the filament. I was actually speaking with the owner while it did that. That's pretty dull. That's like, yeah, that's pretty dull. Not the dullest I've seen. It was crazy, is like that, because the edge was chipped, it was probably pretty inconsistent. I probably just happened to get it at one of the dulled or rolled over spots. And we're just moving through the progressions. We're on to 600 now. This thing is flying. And now 800 and 1,000 before I do that. I'm going to wipe it down just a bit. I'm going to end up polishing that. $1,000. Now let's go 1,500 and 2,200. Man, this just feels super smooth. It's amazing when you're working with a quality knife that isn't too abused, doesn't need complete reprofiling. Not that I don't mind doing that work. It actually, I mean, that's very gratifying too, to take something that has had a rough life and needs to be nurtured back to health. But it's also pretty cool sometimes just to work on something that's like, oh yeah, that's the way that should be. I mean, if you take out the 10 minutes of talking on this video, you're looking at about 5-minute maybe max sharpen time. So we'll go ahead, move this out of the way so we can see the strop. Move the monitor out of the way. Before we strop it, let's take a quick peek at this guy. Man, the mugginess. So definitely got some work to do on the strap. And how we can tell that, so I typically use catalog paper, but this notepad paper will work well. What I'm doing is I'm feeling for where on the edge it doesn't cut through cleanly. And there's a couple of spots where right there, see how it just quit cutting and it kind of fell away. Right there at the end, right there. So we'll have to remove some of that burr there. That's what stropping does, is it removes the final little piece of the burr, and by doing that, it makes the edge potentially last longer, and certainly makes it sharper. And so, stropping, I suffered or struggled with stropping. I'm taking quite a bit of time stropping this, but I struggled with stropping for the longest time because you kind of got to do it freehand. There are guided ways to do it, but when you do it guided, that has its downfalls too, which I won't burden everybody with. I'll talk about some other time. So I struggled with it. Oh, like, what's the right angle, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until, of course, someone else on YouTube explaining to me like what you're doing. You're just kind of trying to rip off that that last bit of burr. I'm like, oh, okay, so the angle's not super important when stropping. Yep, still right there. So you'll see I use 2 primary stropping compounds. This particular strop is 4-sided. And then I typically use the green and the red. I have pretty good success with that. Green being like extra fine and the red being ultra fine, I believe. Let's see. And guys, this is being the pickiest of nits here. There. We just got that somewhere in that last ½ centimeter, there is just the slightest waver in the burr. Could you hear it there? Let's go to the dry. So now we'll just do this with the dry. So there's no compound on this. And this isn't perfectly ideal. Ideally, what you'd want to use is something really rough or strong, I guess, as well, such as like bison or kangaroo leather. But getting kangaroo leather is not the easiest. There we go, I think. Yeah, we're good. It just moves right through there. Cool. Well, that's it. That's how you sharpen it. We'll go ahead just run it through the U-line test since we're doing this, and this is the only one we got to sharpen for today. And you see it just goes right through it. Push cuts, since this is going to put push cut protein, got to make sure that's good. Yep. Yeah. Wow. One thing I really like about this particular knife is that back edge being wide open, so you can just, you can go all the way back and do push cuts with it. It's really cool. Cool. Let's put it on the best real quick. Wow, that looks super messy. Probably giving some people some OCD there. All right. All right. So we'll get the filament pulled taut. And reset it. Don't think those numbers are going to show up. Well, maybe if we backlight it, probably not. All right. So. I'm going to measure from the exact same spot I cut from last time. Last time it came in at 539. $176. So very good there. We could go through and try to get that even better. However, I am more concerned about the robustness of this knife since I know exactly how it's going to be used. So I might spend some more time on the strop, rounding out that edge a little bit, to give it a little bit more of a convexed edge, just to make it a little bit more resilient. But that's how you sharpen the Zwilling 5.5 inch or 140 millimeter Santoku. Thanks, everybody.